The first one is you need to control your mind or your mind will control you. The second one is you need to embrace the pain and the suffering that we all experience in life and use that pain and suffering to make you a stronger and more determined individual. The third one is kind of a sort of an end game type of thing, to look at the end of your life. And the third one is this: what you leave behind is what you weave in the hearts of other people. And then the fourth one is pretty self-explanatory. As long as you don't quit, you can never be defeated.
Hello guys, welcome back to another episode of the Thakkar show. Today we have one of the greatest personalities I personally have ever met. We have Mr. Terry Thakkar. He has been an NCAA Division I college basketball player, a citadel cadet, an undercover narcotics investigator, a SWAT team hostage negotiator, a high school basketball coach, a business owner, and has also been suffered with cancer for 9 long years. It's an honor and pleasure to have you on the show, sir.
Well, thank you, Jay. It's an honor for me to be here.
Thank you so much. Sir, first of all, tell us about this your cancer journey. You fought cancer for 9 long years. So how has it been for you struggling those 9 years, and how has it changed your mindset?
So back in 2012, I was involved in one of my jobs. I was a high school basketball coach, and I had a callus that broke open on the bottom of my foot. And being a coach, you're on your feet a lot. So I didn't think a lot of it until it didn't heal after a couple weeks. So I went and saw a podiatrist, a foot doctor friend of mine, and he found a cyst that had been growing in there. And he did a little bit of in-the-office surgery to remove that. And he looked at it and he said, I've seen thousands of these, no big deal. But I'm going to send it off to pathology just to make sure that everything's okay. Well, 2 weeks later, I get a call from him. And the more difficulty he was having telling me what happened or what was going on, the more frightened I became, until he finally just laid it out and said, Terry, I've been a doctor for 25 years, and I've never seen this form of cancer. And I think you should go to MD Anderson, which is probably the best cancer hospital we have here in the United States, to be treated. And so I did. And I had 2 surgeries to remove the tumor on the bottom of my foot and all the lymph nodes in my groin. And after I healed, I was put on a weekly injection of a drug called interferon. Now, interferon for me was a horrible, nasty, debilitating drug that gave me flu-like symptoms for 2 to 3 days every week after each injection. And I took those weekly injections for almost 5 years. So imagine having the flu every week for 5 years. And that was just to keep the disease from coming back. That wasn't even a cure. The disease did come back in 2017. And in January of 2018, I had my left foot amputated. It came back again in 2019 in my shin, requiring 2 more surgeries. And then last year in 2020, an undiagnosed tumor in my ankle grew large enough that it broke my shin bone, my tibia. And my only option during this wonderful global pandemic that we're all experiencing was to have my left leg amputated. And I also found out I had tumors in my lungs. So more than likely, I'm coming to the end of my life. I'm probably dying. But that has just reinforced, and that pain doesn't have to be cancer. That pain could be, I flunked a test at school, or I broke up with my boyfriend or girlfriend, or experienced pain. But suffering on the other hand, that's optional. Pain is inevitable, suffering is optional. So I use my mind to stay away from the suffering and use my pain to make me stronger.
Wow, that's That's a beautiful note to this answer. And one interesting line which when you mailed me, this one interesting line clicked with me, is that the healthy aspect of being sick. Like when we are generally sick, what's the common notion? The common notion is that, oh, I'm sick, I'm sad, I need to recover, I need to rest, I need to do this, I need to do that. That's the common notion which comes along with sickness, and people around you creating an environment when you are sick. And you said that there's a healthy aspect of it, of being sick. For me, how do I perceive it? Is just limited to that. Okay, now you are sick, you know what things to take care on, and then you can recover and then make your body more healthy, so that sickness doesn't repeat itself. But getting along with what you have been suffering through, getting cancer again and again, from 9 long years. I want to know how you perceive this notion of healthy aspect of being sick.
So I guide my life based on a couple things. The first group I'll give you is what I call the three F's, and that's faith, family, and friends. And on top of that, I have what I like to call my four truths, things that I use to make decisions to guide my life. And I'll give those truths to you. I have them on a post-it note that sits here right on my desk. So I see them several times every day, and they constantly get reinforced in my mind. So the first one is, you need to control your mind or your mind will control you. The second one is, you need to embrace the pain and the suffering that we all experience in life and use that pain and suffering to make you a stronger and more determined individual. The third one is kind of a sort of an end game type of thing, to look at the end of your life. And the third one is this: what you leave behind is what you weave in the hearts of other people. And then the fourth one is pretty self-explanatory. As long as you don't quit, you can never be defeated. So I use those four truths along with my faith. I have a very strong faith in God to guide my life. And I am currently on a clinical trial drug that I go for a week to the hospital to have the drug, and then I have 2 weeks off, and then another week. So every 3 weeks I'm at the hospital, and the drug is very hard on my body. And I had a nurse recently say to me, Terry, this drug is kind of beating you up. Nobody would think anything less of you if you stopped this, if you got off this drug. And I tried to explain to her my four truths. And I could tell they didn't really resonate with her. But I told her, I said, my doctor may take me off this drug, or I may die taking this drug, but I will never quit this drug, because that's just not who I am. My pain, everybody's pain, is going to end eventually. It may end through having surgery. It may end through medication that you take. It may end through death. But if I quit, if I give up, if I give in to this cancer, then pain is always going to be with me. So that's kind of what I mean when I talk about the healthy aspects of being sick.
Beautiful, so beautiful. So before we dive into understanding each and individual truth, I would like to ask you about how this whole journey, cancer journey, has changed your perception of death, because many people fear death, and it's like, let me share you let me give you an example. Is that a college student, because I'm a college student, so a college student going in college, he is being bullied by his seniors or his colleagues, and then the child is not taking any action against it, because he or she is feared that these guys will beat me and I'll die, or something will happen to me. But when diseases like this occur in your life, your perception towards death changes. That's what I assume, and I want to know your perception on that as well. Because like from what I have changed, my perception of death is like, death is going to be there at any moment of your life. You don't know when it will struck, but till it arrives, if you fear death when you don't even know when it is going to come. If I know that okay, tomorrow I'm going to die, if I know that okay, tomorrow 7:30 p.m. I'm going to die, so I'll do something which I like, I do something which I love, because I know I'm going to die, and I'll not fear it because I know. So if I don't know what thing is going to happen when, why to fear it and create a virtual pressure on your own so that you can escape from the real pressure which society is giving you? So this is how I perceive death, and this is how I use the perception of death in my own daily life. So what's your perception of death?
So my perception, I think we should be afraid of. And I say that given that if you find the reason that you were put on this earth, there's a famous author here in the United States by the name of Mark Twain, who he's long passed away, but he had a great quote. And this is what he said. He said, the two most important days of our lives are the day we're born and the day we figure out why. So if you figure out why you were born, if you find your purpose in life and you live it, then death doesn't have the sting or the stigma or the fear that it has for people who just kind of coast through and never figure out why they were put on this earth. So for me, I believe I found my purpose in life and I lived it. And I have planned my entire funeral. From where I'm going to be buried to what casket I'm going to be in to the religious service, all that's planned. And I've had some people say to me, "Well, that's kind of defeatist, isn't it? I mean, you're sort of saying that you're going to die." And I sort of look at them when they say that to me, and I'm like, "Well, everybody's going to die. Nobody's working on a cure for life right now. So, don't worry about that. Everybody dies, but not everybody really lives." And I think that's a huge distinction.
True.
If you go out there and you live your life, if you get outside your comfort zone, if you do the things that scare you, and I always tell this to young people especially, if you have a passion in your heart to do something, whatever that is, and it scares you, go ahead and do it. Because at the end of your life, the things that you're going to regret are not going to be the things that you did. They're going to be the things that you didn't do. So don't worry about, well, I might fail, or people might laugh at me, or people may make fun of me, or whatever that is. You know what? Let them make fun of you. Who cares what other people think? You're not going to be judged at the end of your life by what other people said or what other people did. Death won't be that scary when it comes.
True, 100%, 100%. So moving to your four truths, like those are so fascinating that I want to dig deep into them, and I want to understand myself, and want to understand listeners and watchers who are listening and watching this. So first of all, first is controlling your mind so it doesn't control you. So what's the context, and what's the idea behind this truth?
So our brains are hardwired to avoid pain and discomfort and to seek pleasure. So to the brain, the status quo, the way things are right now, is good. Anytime you start to move outside that status quo, the brain starts to kick in and sort of starts feeding you all kinds of negative, don't do that. Or, I'm just going to give you an example. Say you decided, you woke up this morning and said, I'm going to go skydiving. And your brain is going to be, wait a minute, Jay. I don't know about that. The plane might crash, or your parachute may not open, or all these negative things are going to be put in your brain because you're getting outside your comfort zone. So the brain doesn't like that. So I learned early on when I was in high school, and I had several knee surgeries when I was playing basketball. And I missed an entire year of playing because of these knee surgeries. And my brain started to tell me, Terry, you're probably a step slower, or coaches in college are not going to want to recruit you, because you've had these knee surgeries. So it was feeding me all this garbage. So I quickly learned at 15 years old let's face it, at 15 years old, really the only success I'd had in life was basketball. I was good at it and I didn't want to give it up. So I had to change that narrative in my mind. I had to go from, no. I'm still playing at an elite level and coaches are still calling me and sending me mail interested in recruiting me. So you got to change that negative, that whatever that negative thought is. Your mind can hold one thought at a time. Why make it a negative one? Why not just say, you know what? Hey, you're a step slower. No, I'm not. You just change the narrative, because if you don't, your mind is going to control you. And then taking that a step further, and we talked about it a minute ago, the only way we grow, the only way that we can push past our comfort zones is to do things that scare us, to do things that are uncomfortable. I want to develop, I want to get better. And the brain's saying, no, don't do that. We like the way things are right now. So it's that constant battle, and you have to control what's going on inside your head.
True, 100%. I have some people coming to me and saying that I have this fear now. What should I do? I'm getting this negative thoughts now. What should I do? Is it real? Is it not real? Because your brain just not only gives you negative thoughts, it also gives you a logic behind it. That okay, you have knee surgery. That's why you might not be in that elite league now. If you had knee surgery, that's why people might think that you cannot play up to that level. So your brain also gives you logical negative thoughts that you start convicting to it. So what happens? So what I personally suggest to them is like face it head on. Your brain says no, face it. Let's see what happens. If my brain is telling that no, you are not up to that mark, I'm like, go on the field, play basketball, and see what happens. And then we'll see that okay, what's real and not real. Why to hold on to the perception which you have not even experienced or not even explored yet?
Yeah, you're right. And you talked a minute ago about people that are maybe bullying you or doing something like that. I mean, you can bully yourself, by listening to your brain. You can, when your brain puts all this negative stuff in there, that's all it is. It's just a statement. True. You might be a step slower. Yeah, you're right. I might be. That doesn't mean I'm not going to play anymore. But if you believe that, your brain knows your fears, your brain knows your vulnerabilities, and your brain knows your weaknesses. And it will use those against you if you start messing around with the status quo, if you start wanting to do things that make you grow and make you a better person. So you've got to change that narrative. And you're right. You need to do that head on. You can't, kind of pussyfoot around it and like, oh, I don't know. No, you got to hit it, and you got to hit it hard and say, no, this is just the opposite. I am a good basketball player. I can go out on the field, and watch me. I'm going to go do it.
True, 100%. So coming to the second truth is that embracing the pain and suffering and using it to make you a stronger and more determined individual. So what's the context of that?
That is just all the years, and I described earlier kind of all the things that I've been through, all the different, there just never seems to be a break. Give me some time off. No, you're going to have the flu every week for 5 years. I remember when my oncologist suggested that, I looked at her like, are you crazy? That just didn't make any sense to me. Why you want to give me a drug that's going to give me the flu for 2 to 3 days there's only 7 days in the week. And you want me to spend almost half of it having the flu for 5 years? I'm like, that's crazy. But yeah, I guess I'm crazy because I ended up doing it. So, there was that. And then as soon as that stopped, there was the foot amputation, and then the surgeries, and then the leg amputation, and then the tumor. It just keeps going, and all that pain piles on. Now you can do things for that. You can go drink yourself into oblivion and control that pain. You can take all kinds of medication to control that pain, to get away from it, to run from it, or you can use it. You can flip it inside and use it as, to like use it as energy or burn it as fuel to make you a stronger and more determined individual. Every time you stand up to pain, every time you stand up to a bully, every time you stand up to something that scares you or that you're afraid of, it makes you stronger. It gives you more tools in your toolbox to handle whatever life throws at you. So that was we all want to run from pain. We want to get away from it. What I'm suggesting is just the opposite. Flip it inside you and use it to make you tougher, to make you stronger, and to make you more determined.
True, 100%. I also I got this idea. Please tell me if I'm right with this or not. Is that like when you said that you take this injection every week, and then you know that you're gonna have flu for 2 to 3 days a week, and you went it for continuously 5 years. So now when you said that how to use it, it struck to my mind is that when you know that okay, I'm gonna be suffering with flu for 2 to 3 days every week. So whenever I'm taking injection, I know that okay, my 2 to 3 days are gonna be like this. So now I don't have to worry that okay, now I have to take this medication to suppress the flu. Will this work? Will this not work? Will this do right? Will this not do right? If I'm not taking the medication, what will happen? What will not happen? All those turmoil of thoughts just goes away, because and you have accepted okay, this is my reality and now I need to face it. Once you accepted the reality that okay, now I'm going to face it, automatically you take responsibility of it. And when you take the responsibility of it, instead of worrying about this that, your brain starts thinking about solution. Okay, now I know I'm going to have flu for 2 to 3 days. How will I plan my days? I will plan my days accordingly. I'll plan my week accordingly, and then next week same round repeat. So that's how I think we can tell that that's how you used this flu this injection in all those 5 years.
Yeah, I think you're right. I mean, in a lot of ways, it was a battle. I wasn't going to let it win. I have to win today. But for me, sometimes today, for winning the day, was winning this 5 minutes. There were days where I was so sick that all I could do was take a load of laundry, and put it in the wash machine to kind of help my wife out, and that was winning the day. So it's small victories. It's just like anything. You have a huge problem in front of you. If you break that problem down into smaller parts, it's much easier to solve than if you look at that huge problem and say, I've got to solve this all in one big fell swoop. No, you don't. Break it down. Break it down into things that you can handle. And there were some days where, just getting out of bed was winning the day for me. And I would go to the table. My wife would be like, just come to the table and sit with us. I'd eat a piece of broccoli and I'd get sick and have to go throw up. I mean, that was as good as I could do. So yeah, don't make it a big, this huge problem in front of you. Break that problem down into kind of bite-sized chunks that you can handle and you can digest easily.
True, and I want to relate it to fitness so that people can get it more easily. For example, if you want to reduce your weight, that's your ultimate goal, and that is your big chunk of goal. And you don't know how to, and you think that okay, now I'm going to start with 100 push-ups daily, 100 burpees daily, 100 squats daily, and that's not physically possible because you haven't done any practice yet. So what can you do? If your maximum capacity are 10 push-ups a day, break it down to 5. Start from 5. Then increase it to 7, 8, 10, 20, 30, 40, and then you can reach to 100. And by the time you reach 100, you already have lost a good percentage of your weight, so that you can think you're achieving your goal by every day completing your targets, by increasing your stamina, by reducing your weight. You can now physically track yourself that okay, I'm achieving my goal. And also because when you're completing your daily goals, you are having those small dopamine hits in your brain, which will allow your brain to focus on the same task next day when you are doing it, because your brain knows that after doing this I'm going to get this dopamine peak, so I'll do it because my brain likes it.
Yeah, I mean, think about getting 1% better every day. If you get 1%, just 1% better every day, at the end of a month, you're 30% better than when you started. So you don't think about, I want to get 30% better. Get 1% better. Get 1% better every day. And at the end of a month, the end of 30 days, you're going to be 30% better than you started.
True, 100%. And if you're lucky enough, if that month is of 31 days, you're 31% better.
Exactly.
Ah, great, great. So moving on to the third truth is that understanding what you leave behind is what you weave in the hearts of others. So what's that? Because I too have some sort of perception to this, but before that, I want to know yours.
That everybody talks about, what was Jay like, or what did Jay do, or what are we all talking about at Jay's funeral? And I always kind of ask people, and I don't know if it's as much of a big a deal here in the United States, but I know in other cultures it is. Would your ancestors be proud of the life that you lived? Because, they sort of set the stage for you. They did a lot of the hard work, a lot of the heavy lifting to get you and me to where we are in our lives. So would they be proud of the life you lived? And if you think about that when you're younger and you don't like what that answer is going to be, I don't like what people are going to say about me at the funeral. You have time to make that change if you want to. I mean, again, that's totally up to you. You may want people to say that, gee, Terry was a real jerk. I don't want people to say that at my funeral, but, some people may want that. So if you don't like the way things are going, then you can have the time to change it. But the impact that you're going to have, the impact that I'm going to have on people well after we're gone, is going to be what we leave, what we weave into their hearts. How did we treat them? Did we encourage them? Did we do the things to make their life better? And if we do that, then we're weaving positivity and goodness into their hearts. And in turn, hopefully they will turn around and weave that into other people's hearts. And as a result, in a way, if you think about that, you're going to live forever because you're going to give something of yourself to another human being. And if they pass it on and they pass it on and they pass it on, then you're going to live forever in theory, maybe not physically. But again, this is just a vessel that holds us. There was a basketball coach here in the United States, a college coach back in 1993 who won an award at a sports banquet, and he gave a great speech. And what he talked about, and he died about 8 months after giving this speech, what he talked about was that, cancer can take all my physical attributes, but it can't touch my mind, it can't touch my heart, and it can't touch my soul, because that's who we are. This is just the place to house that right now. So at the end of your life, don't get too caught up that, my body died. Yeah, your body died, but you, who you really are, that's going to live on. And it's going to live on even more based on that third truth of what you're weaving in the hearts of other people.
True, 100%. And my perception to this is like when you said about ancestor, that are your ancestors going to be proud of you, of how do you live, and how well did you live. That like this ancestor notion is really quite impressive, is because, like, for example, if I am a child and I need some support, and I have my father, I have my father's friends, I have my parents, I have my parents' friends. So these are the legacies which my parents have left for me to live and to take support of. If not my father's friend, if not my parents' friend, but their children are my friends. I'm in touch with them, so I have those supports, and those supports are not created by my own. Those supports are given to me by my ancestors in terms of legacy they left for me. And all these things they have done on basis of connections, and connections are simply on what you weave in others' heart. This is all connection and networking and all those big old entrepreneurial terms or whatever terms you use, that okay, I'm going to network, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. But if you break it down simply, it is nothing but connecting people. Like if I say that okay, uh, I connected with a cancer warrior, Mr. Terry. Okay, I connected, but deep inside, we have connected as humans in terms of conversation, uh, in terms of sharing knowledge, in terms of sharing ideas. This is how we have connected. Professionally, it may be yeah, okay, guests and hosts and podcasts and this and that, but deep down, we have connected it to a human level, and this is what the legacy which I and you might have will leave on this internet, through this podcast, through this video, through this audio.
Yeah, and I think kind of what you touched on there is being part of something that's bigger than you. You know, you're part of this connected family, friends, and things like that. It's not just you. It's all of that, and you're just part of it. And I think, you know, for me growing up, having been involved in athletics most of my up until college, what I learned is that, you know, you are part of something bigger than you. You know, if you don't do your job, then the team suffers. It's not just about me. I mean, I guess it is if you're playing golf or tennis or something like that. But in a team sport, you know, you are part of something bigger than yourself. And life is probably the biggest team sport that we all play in.
True.
So you're right. I mean, it's not just you, it's all these other people that support you, that hold you up, that give you what you need to be successful. And then hopefully you'll hold somebody up, and that'll just keep growing.
True, 100%. And like not even golf and tennis, because like we have our coaches, we have our team, we have our health doctors. We have to be the part of that community. If my doctor says that okay, Jay, you need to follow this diet, and if I say that no, I like pizza, I like burger, I'll eat that, and I'll play tennis. It's done.
Right. You're right. You're right.
So moving on to your fourth truth is like remembering that as long as you don't quit, you can never be defeated. So what's that whole context on?
I think that goes back to what I said before. You know, we're all going to have pain in life, and that pain is going to end at some point in time. Again, it may end through surgery, it may end through medication, it may end because you die. But if you quit, if you give up, if you give into that, then you are always going to have pain. It may not be the same kind of pain, but you're always going to have to live with that pain. So as long as you don't quit, as long as you keep moving forward, as long as you just don't throw up your hands and say, you know what, I'm done, the heck with it, you can always do more. There's a group in the military here in the United States called the United States Navy SEALs. They're probably some of the toughest men in the world. And one of them coined a phrase that he called the 40% rule. And basically what the 40% rule says is that if you think you're done, you know, if you can't run another step or do another push-up or do another pull-up or whatever it is in life, you know, you don't think you can go forward, that you're only at 40% of your maximum. And you still have 60% left in reserve to help get you through that. So whenever I think that, you know, I'm just mentally and physically and emotionally depleted, I always remember, yeah, I'm only at 40%. I still have this huge reserve pile in my soul, in my heart, in my brain that I can use to help me keep moving forward. So, I'm sure everybody has their breaking point, but I think that breaking point is much farther down the road than we always think it is. You know, we always say, oh, I'm done, I can't do anymore. Oh, yes, you can. You can do so much more than you ever thought you could do.
True, 100%. It's really very true, because when we say that okay, now I'm feeling lethargic, or I'm not motivated enough to do something, it's just 40%, because like if it is genuinely, you are not genuinely motivated for to do that, then you would not even think of it. Like I have this theory. For example, if my exams are coming and I'm not motivated to study, I won't even think of studying if I'm not genuinely interested in studying. So I am only in those 40% of thoughts which are just running around here and there in my brain. It's just because I have this reserve of 60%, which is indicating me that Jay, you can, or you have this potential of taking interest in studies because exams are coming. And then when you think in that perception, your perception changes to 180 degrees. You are like, okay, I'm not interested. That is not the reason I'm not motivated. It's because I'm unable to find my interest, and my interest is in that 60% which is reserved, and I need to go that. I need to find my interest, pick from there, and I need to start studying because my exams are coming. And to trick that, you have many different ways. You can reward yourself, you can plan things, and those different manipulations you can do according to your own personal lifestyle. But then that's how you can touch your reserved 60%.
Exactly. Yeah, I think you hit that right on the head. Absolutely.
Thank you so much. So, what this is my ending question, which I generally ask, is that what's that one biggest statement which you think that you have created your life on, and which you think that it can help and inspire generations of people?
Let me tell you a story that'll get to that statement if I
Sure,
could. It won't be a long one. So I've
right.
always been a big fan of Western movies growing up. And in 1993, here in the United States, possibly where you are as well, the movie Tombstone came out, and it starred Val Kilmer as a man by the name of John Doc Holliday and Kurt Russell as a man by the name of Wyatt Earp. Now, Wyatt Earp and Doc Holliday were two living, breathing human beings who walked on the face of the earth. They're not made up characters for the movie. Now, Doc, they called him a doc because he was a dentist by trade, but he was pretty much a card shark and a gunslinger, is really what he was. And Wyatt was a lawman. He'd been a sheriff, a deputy sheriff his entire life. And these two men from totally different backgrounds formed this very close and very deep friendship. And so at the end of the movie, Doc Holliday is dying at a sanitarium in Glenwood Springs, Colorado, which is about 3 hours from where I lived. And the real Doc Holliday did die at that sanitarium, and he's buried in the Glenwood Springs Cemetery. And Wyatt, at this point in his life, is destitute. He has no money, he has no job, he has no prospects for a job. So every day comes to visit Doc, and the two men play cards to pass the time. And in this scene, they're talking about what they want out of life. And Doc says that he was in love with his cousin when he was young, but she joined a convent over the affair, but she's all that he ever wanted. And he looks at Wyatt and he says, "What about you, Wyatt? What do you want?" And Wyatt looks at him kind of nonchalantly and says, "I just want to lead a normal life." And Doc looks at him and says, "There's no normal, there's just life, and get on with living yours." So here's the answer to your question. We all are waiting for that one thing or those certain things to happen so that we can have a normal life or a better life or a richer life or a more prosperous life. Don't wait for those things. Don't wait for your normal life. The life that you have now, the life that I have with no leg, with cancer, that's my life. Those are the cards that I've been dealt, and I have to play those cards. So don't wait for life to happen to you. You go out and make life happen for yourself.
True, 100%, 100%. I've said this. I've said this in one Instagram reel, is that you are as unique as your DNA. You may be similar to everyone, so that you can learn from everyone. In that context, you are similar, because whatever successful people say, whatever your parents say, at some stage of your life, you know that, okay, no, those were right statements, those were correct. And that's when you say that, okay, now I'm normal, I'm like every other person. But it's not. you can make your life as unique as your DNA, so that you have your name as big as Elon Musk, as big as Mark Zuckerberg, Bill Gates. And also you can learn from each and everyone, because you are not too different, you are not as different as a fish and a human being.
That's a great point. I mean, it really is. I mean, if you think about, and I talked earlier about being very religious, if you think about, knowing that you're so unique that there's never been anybody before you and there's never going to be anybody after you that had your gifts, that had your talents, that had your skills. So imagine, keeping that in perspective and just looking at life and saying, what's out there that I have some knowledge of, that if I don't do it, it's not going to get done. That could be your whole life right there. And it doesn't have to be, something huge and grandiose. It could just be, I want to be a writer. I want to write some books. I want to write some articles. You know what? My job is over here, but my purpose is to be a writer. Your job doesn't have to be your purpose. It can be, but it doesn't have to be. And you are so unique that don't compare yourself to other people. I want to be like him, or I want to be like her. Why? God made you the way you are for a reason. Don't compare yourself to other people. Just try to be the best person that you can possibly be.
True. And it's like that, I have my juniors from school, from high schools, coming to me for the relationship problems, and I'm like, you may think that you are common, or you are as, or you may think you are depressed in that, but just imagine that you're like, for example, if you're 17-year-old person with experience as unique as yours, as unique as having parents as yours, no one could have as parents as yours, no one could have lived the way you lived in these 17 years. And just imagine the stage, the time, the date you met that person. No one else in this world would have met that person on similar date, similar time, and with the kind of experiences you have from your past. So just imagine it, you are unique and you need to solve it in your own personal way. What only I can help you is, I can help you with changing your perception. Only that way I can help you. All solutions and all experimentations you need to do yourself, because I have not lived your life so that I can tell you what exactly to do.
You're right. I mean, you can tell them what you would do, but you're not them. Yeah, exactly. Here I can give you some advice based on my life and my experience, but you're going to have to decide if you want to use that or do something else. So you're right. I mean, it just goes back to being your own unique person. And I've always said this, everything we need to be successful in life is already inside us. It's already there. We don't have to go find it. We don't have to go grow it. We don't have to eat it. We don't have to do it. It's already in there. You just got to be quiet enough to find it and then pull it out and be that unique person that you are.
True, 100%. I was in one deep state of thought, and then I wrote a poetry in Hindi, which started from a guy complaining to God that I have this problem, I have that problem, I don't know what to do, and then slowly and slowly, in his own conversation with God, he started giving out answers to his own problems. And I've tried to give it words in Hindi, and I've tried to made it into a poetry. But that's how I think I perceive that everyone can get their own solutions, because no one can have as unique experience as yours. And how can you take advice? Like, people also ask me that, okay, if I'm that unique, then why do I need advices? I'm like, you can get advices as a direction to work on. You can get advices that, okay, I want to reach, I am at point A. From advice you can decide at point B you want to reach, but the path from point A to B will be decided by you. The direction, you can get direction that, okay, I'm not going to drink alcohol, I want to leave alcohol. That is a direction world can give you, but how to leave it, what are the ways you can leave it, that you have to decide by your own, by experimenting with yourself on which stimulus and how you react on what stimulus.
You're right. And that just makes you stronger. It makes you more determined. It makes you more confident. in your
True.
ability to not only handle that problem, but to handle the next problem and the one after that. And then you just continue to grow exponentially. So yeah,
True.
absolutely.
And that also helps you more becoming more self-aware that now, okay, I know that on what kind of stimulus, how do I react? So I can know how can I manipulate myself. If I have a situation, if I'm very aggressive, if someone says me some small thing, I get angry at that particular moment. I know this is my stimulus. So with experimenting, I can know that, okay, how can I not get angry? And these small problems can also help me in getting near to the big chunk of problem, like not touching alcohol, or leaving weeds and on and all those problems.
You're right. Yeah, I think you've hit it right on the head.
Thank you, sir. And I have this line which I follow because I'm still a student. So this is a two student mindset, but it goes on this way, that perspective has the power to change your life. So what's your take on this line, and what would be your advice to me on uh, in general?
I would, I think you sort of hit it in the beginning part of that. I'm a student. Always be a student. Always be curious. Always, want to know why. I kind of joke that, my doctors are probably so sick of me because I'm always asking why. Why are we doing that? Why aren't we doing this? Explain this to me. I want to be curious. I want to know. I want to learn, because as I learn, I expand my ability to handle all kinds of different issues and problems and things that come down the pike. So I would say always be a student, one. I would say two, don't be afraid to fail. Don't be afraid to get out there and make a mistake, because only two things are going to happen if you try something. One, you're going to be successful, you're going to win, or two, you're going to learn. And people are like, no, you're going to win or you're going to lose. I'm like, no, you only lose if you don't learn anything based on what you tried to do. And then I guess number three, the piece of advice I give you is to learn to listen, and not listen to reply, but listen to understand. I want to be able to listen to what Jay says, not only what he says, but why he says it and where he's coming from when he says it. Because in this world right now, we're just screaming at each other. And when we're screaming at each other, we can't understand anything that's going on. But if I take the time to not respond, or I'm listening because I want to respond, I want to say my 2 cents, instead of doing that, listening to understand where the other person's coming from and what they're saying. So those would be my 3 pieces of advice.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. And how was this whole podcast? Did you enjoy it? And what new pieces, according to you, can be added to this conversation?
I think it's been great. I mean, I always look at, excuse me, the reason I do these is I know I'm coming to the end of my life. And I want to put as much goodness, as much love, as much positivity back into the world. It's not about selling my book. It's not about, a course that I have. It's not about any of that. It's about having a forum to do that. So I guess I would like to say thank you to you, because it's people like you as a host who give people like me a forum. And between the two of us and our conversation today, hopefully we made a difference in some of the people that are going to listen to this. So thank you for doing that.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for coming on the show. It's been an honor for me to have you on the show, because I literally I had few concepts in my mind that, okay, what will happen if someone goes through this heart of turmoil, and having you who have suffered this from this long, and who is not even looking this disturbed from this whole turmoil. It's really been an honor and privilege for me to have you on the show, sir.
Well, it's been an honor to be a guest on your show, and I appreciate it very much.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much for having me.